I can use costume to represent the movement of the soul. For me, costume is a sort of tool that we have to help the director in creating the story. The fitting moment is the magical moment where you can see the actor becomes the role.
Daniela Cianco is a great Italian costume designer. Mentored by Piero Tosi, she gained international recognition with her fantastic work with Paolo Sorrentino for Il Divo and La Grande Bellezza. She's member of the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences and European Film Awards. Daniela, I'm really honored to have you as my guest on Profession Costumière. Welcome.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here with you.
So I'd like to start with asking you how you became a costume designer. What led you to this profession?
Honestly, I don't really know. What I can tell you is that I always was interested in represent a character, and I always thought that to use costumes. Like I can use costume to represent the movement of the soul and the state of mind of the person. And since when I was a girl, I always expressed myself through clothes. And, always when I dressed myself, I want to represent what was my soul in that moment, no? And when I was a child, it was a period during the year when the school ended, where in TV, they broadcast the American movies from the 30s, from the 40s. And I was really impressed by them, and all the character they represented in that movies. And I always want to repeat on myself. What I understood is that the dress, the costume, are a sort of way to play with your soul. And that's why that's what I really like, I really love. And this is what I'm trying to represent on the character in the movies where I work. And for me, costume is a sort of tool that we have to help the director in creating the story. And I think it's a really important tool. Sometimes it is underestimated. Sometimes in not all school we have the department of costume department, but a lot of time we have set designer department, and costume is under there. But I think it's really, really important to give more importance to costume, because the actors, before he talk, before he start to play his role, the people see him, see her, and they must understand immediately who he is, what he represents. And I think we have two tools. One is to play with the character, to play through the costume, to represent through the costume the character of the person. And another one is the costume also help the director in the composition, in the aesthetical composition of the image. And I think these are two parts really important in our job. And I don't know, honestly, when I started, but I always, since when I was a child, I love to play with clothes to express myself.
And then when you finished high school, for instance, was it obvious for you to study arts, or did you hesitate for your studies?
No, I started at the Lyceum. I studied in Italy. We have a classical Lyceum where we study all the Latin and Greek and story of art and story of literature from Greece or all the Latin and so on. But after that, I was in the Academy of Fine Arts in Naples. but I studied set design because, of course, there was just set design and not costume design. And but I started to work in the Opera House in Naples since when I was the second year of the university. And I worked with a costume designer in Naples in the opera. And I worked a lot with San Carlo Opera House in Naples. And I started in this way, and then I also worked in theater, in a small theater. They works a lot on research representation. And it was also interesting to work in both different situations. And I worked in theater for a lot of years, because in the 80s in Naples, there was only theater, not cinema, because the main city for cinema is Rome, Italy, yes. Still now. Even if we now we have cinema, we shoot cinema, we have school of cinema in all cities in Italy. But before, it was only in Rome, the specific ones.
With Cinecittà, the studio.
Yes. And all the big costume house, they are in Rome. And after university, I was another 2 years in Naples, working also always in an opera house. And then I moved from Rome to Rome. Because I had the test for be a student in the School of Cinema in Rome, where Piero Tosi was teaching. And then I moved from Naples to Rome, and I'm still there.
And how was it meeting Piero Tosi and working with him? What did you learn from him? He's such a great costume designer.
Yes. It was an incredible. They were 2 incredible years with him, of course, and because what I think I took from Piero is he gave me the way to decode what I was seeing. He gave me it's like he opened my eyes. I don't know. I can explain better in English, but. He teaching me the way where I can give a reason to everything that I was seeing on costume. And of course, the lesson with him were really interesting, because when he was talking about the different period, it is not only, they were not only a lesson about costume, but about everything, because costume is not something out of the rest of the life.
Yes.
And this is really important, because of course you need, I remember that what I was feeling is, I can feel exactly the smell of that period. You know, you can give us the possibilities to understand everything about that period. And in that moment, they were really important, what I have studied at the Lyceum, because of course I can really understand better a lot of things. And this was one lesson really important for me. And another one, I think he gave us the possibilities to understand exactly the importance of the character, and how we can play also with the proportion of the actor to help them to be transformed in a character. This really helped the creation of the character. And I think this is really another important part, even in the period movie that in contemporary one, because I honestly think that sometimes the contemporary movie are more difficult than the period one, sometimes. Because of course, if you want to transform an actor from the actor into the character, you can also use you can also change the silhouette and to help him the transformation. And this is something really important. And also, for example, Tosi, when he worked on Rocco and his brothers, he gave the toile Delon and short jacket with the fur here. It's something that is not normal for young guy to use in that period. But it was perfectly for the character. And this means, you need to be, you have to play. This is really important. It's hard to explain because the lesson with Tosi were full of everything. It was such a magical lesson. And also you can start to understand the silhouette. And you can sometimes understand, for example, that some silhouette, contemporary silhouette, can have a relation with silhouette from other period. And you can understand, you can see this. And this is really interesting, I think. It's something that always surprised me.
So the lessons he taught you are still, I guess, inspiring you in your work. You still
yes,
think about that time. And I also wanted to ask you about Paolo Sorrentino, because you've collaborated on great movies together. So to start, I was wondering how you two met.
We are both Napolitan. We met in Naples some years ago. Even if Paolo is more young than me, but of course we know all of us, we know each other. But we met in Rome. He asked me to work with him on Il Divo, the first movie where we worked together. And I got my first Davide Donatello before this, for another movie. The Italian name of this movie is Il Resto di Niente. It's a movie on, the story is about Eleonora Pimentel Fonseca. She was the first, the founder of the Napolitan Revolution. It was a period movie because the story was based on the second part on the 18th century. And after that, Paolo called me and we met for Il Divo, and we started to work together on that movie. And Paolo, it's an amazing director. It's a fantastic vision of aesthetic vision. It's really interesting to work with him. And on Il Divo, it was a movie based on a real story, political history, Italian political history, from the last part of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And I based all my research on the reality, of course. I studied a lot of that period. And I had a really big research on photos, and it's not only on the photos, but also on the real people. They really existed, and a lot of us, we remember them. This was a challenge to represent them on the movie. The audience, they have to understand who they are when they watch the movie, but of course they are not exactly the exact repetition of the real people. They must have the smell, the idea. They need to remind to them. And this was really interesting, of course. And I used after the research, I went through all the old stock in the Napolitan shop, men's shop, because in Naples we have a really big tradition of men clothes. And I went through all of the big men's shop in the old stock to try to find the real people, the real costume. the vintage one, of course. And I buy some, I rented some, I draw some others, and we make also. And I mix everything. The really interesting part was working on Toni Servillo, because of course he's completely different from Andreotti. And it was so interesting to transform him in Andreotti. The first fitting was a disaster because
why?
Yes, because it was so elegant, and Andreotti was a tall man with his head inside his shoulder. It completely different, but Toni, it's really elegant. That's why we had to transform him. And after the first fitting, when the tailor made a really fantastic suit, but was wrong for Andreotti. That's why I had to. I asked the old tailor, the father of the ones that made the costume, to use old patterns and to help the transformation. I used pattern from the 40s for the trousers because I need to erase the shape of the leg of Toni. And for the jacket, it was the same. I used the patterns from the 40s. And
because it was broader, or?
Yes, because I need to erase the shape of the body, because Toni is elegant. If I have something straight on him, I cannot have the result that I need to have. And also I had to help the actors, because Andreotti has normally the head inside the shoulder, but Toni cannot play rules all day in this way. Yes. That's why I make also the shirts, and inside the neck of the shirt, inside the collar, I made the inside part more high to help this transformation. And also I drawing also the tie, because I need to cover this little detail.
So it was a way to hide his neck.
Yes, in this way I can cut a part of his neck. And also with the makeup, the makeup, they made some other prosthetic things and everything's worked. But I had to transform him. Because if you compare the Toni Servillo in Il Divo and on The Great Beauty, these two completely different characters. And they are really different in aesthetic way, no? But of course, I played on the actors in two completely different ways.
And I guess you were mentioning the fittings, but it must have been very important for Toni Servillo to get into the character.
Yes, because I think that the fitting moment is the magical moment where you can see the actor becomes the role. And I think this is important for the costume designer, but for the actor too, because of course he can see for the first time himself in that role.
Yes.
And I think because, for example, on The Great Beauty, when we had the first fitting, I had some reference in my mind, of course, and also, of course, in my research, when I presented to Paolo, I had some influence from the Kennedy family, from the 60s, from the Napolitan traditional jacket, because they are cut in another way, from Napolitan elegance in the summer, but a lot of difference that I would love to put on Jep. And it was important because when Toni had the first fitting, he thought, okay, in this way, I can have the cigarettes in this way, and I can play with the hat like this, because it's our job, we need to work together. We cannot work separately from the other. We're not in our studio. We have to work together. This is the beautiful part of our job. And it's really important, the relation, no? And the collaboration. Yes. And this was really interesting. And I think when I have a lesson sometimes, some masterclass, when they ask me this, I always use these two characters on Toni, because it's really interesting, I think, no? To have the same actor in the new role, completely different, and how we can play with the body of the actor. Yes. To help him in the transformation.
And about La Grande Bellezza, there's a very specific care for colors and fabrics. And I was wondering if you could explain a bit the choice of those colors and where you chose and had made the clothes for Jeb Gambardella, the character.
Yeah. Yes, Paolo asked some color on Jeb. The difficult part was using color without became funny. I want Jeb must be always elegant, not funny, even when he used color. And the idea was, as I told you before, some reference were from Napolitan elegance in the summertime, and from Kennedy in the 60s, the Kennedy family. Because in Naples, in the summer, some old men now, they can use on the white base, white shirt, white trousers, some pale blue jacket. And I thought that this could be the way, because in the story, Jeb came from Naples. Yes. And I would love to show this part. And I think work on the color in this way, it was the right solution, to have the white base, white shirt, white trousers, and color jacket. And the pochette, the little square in the pocket, with the color of the outfit. And the shoes with the color, like in old style, and the white socks, or the pale white, or off-white colors. It's something from the 60s also, no? But it's something really elegant under the white trousers. And this was the idea, and also the pattern of the jacket are really Napolitan. I drawing this jacket with cut in a really Napolitan way, and I worked with this costume. It's not costume; it's a shop for men tailor in Naples. And because I thought that this kind of jacket can help us to represent the character. And the fabrics are sometimes are not flat, because I would love a little trama. It's a little not flat, because they need to play with the light.
Okay, yes. Texture or?
Yes, sorry, yeah. And this was another idea on his character. And in this way, also the color, they are not funny, but they can be possible on an old man from Naples that lives in Rome. And because I also need to bring him out from all the other people that we can have in the movie, because we have a lot of other characters and a lot of extras. That's why we need also to put on him some color, because it's really important to make him completely different from the other ones.
And for his character, was everything made, or did you also shop from some Italian designers?
I made all the colored jacket, and the shirt some are made, some other are from other Italian brand. It's a mix.
Mixture.
It's a really mix of everything. All the color jacket are made, and I had also a collaboration with Armani on the blue suit. But it's really a mix of everything. All different brands and the drawing.
And how did the fitting go this time? Was the first fitting perfect right away compared to Il Divo, or was there a lot of adjustments as well?
It was much better.
Yes.
Yes, was much better. The first fitting was the right one. The direction, because it's important in the first fitting to have the right direction. After that, you can complete all the details, but it's important the direction for me in the fitting. The first one was okay. Not like in Divo.
I also wanted to ask you when I was watching your career. So as you said, you worked for theater, for cinema and TV and sometimes commercials. And I saw a beautiful commercial for Persol in 2015 where you were a stylist, and it starts Wim Wenders, and it's actually taking place in Cinecittà, the studio in Roma that we were mentioning earlier. So I was wondering if you could tell us a bit of this experience. Yes, because I forgot to mention also that this commercial really recreates Italian cinema's golden age. So I was curious about this experience.
No, it was really interesting to recreate that period. And also we recreate a crew, the filming crew in that period. And this was so interesting, to work on, because I made the research on all the character in that period and what we can have on set in that period. Because of course, Wim Wenders, he also played the role of the director. Yes. And around him, we have all the characters. The editing, the costume designer, the makeup, the DOP. It was so interesting to create this. And of course, we have also the two actors that play the role of the actors. More elegant and beautiful. And with the man with the camera on the back of the car. He was playing the role of the DOP and with the camera. No, it was a really funny experience. I met Wim when I was in the European Film Academy board. And after, when he was here, he called me for this movie. But it was so interesting, even if it was a short movie. Yes,
it's very beautiful. The image is quite striking.
Yes. Yes, it was a really beautiful work with him, because also he's an amazing director, and
yes,
he put a lot of attention on color and on details and costume art details. The details are really important in our job. It was so really interesting. We fitted a lot of different jacket on him. It's because normally in commercial, a lot of people can express what they think on the clothes, but not in this movie, because it was like a short movie, not a commercial. Normally in commercial, you have the client, you have the agency, you have the director, you have a lot of different people that can tell what they think about the costume and all the image, but not in this movie. Because Wim was just him to express what he liked, what not. It was so.
That's nice.
So interesting, yeah.
And you were mentioning the European Film Academy. And I wanted to ask you about that, because I saw that you were a member of the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences and European Film Awards. So I was really curious about this experience, and how is it to vote for your peers, other costume designers?
It's always hard, of course, honestly, because you have the responsibility of the success or not of your colleague. It's something really important. But when I was in the board, to be in the board of the European Film Academy was so really interesting because I understood a lot of things that can happen, on the back.
Yes.
And the importance, because we were people from all over Europe. Mm-hmm. We are 1 or 2 members for each country. And it was really interesting because all of us, we think in different way, not only for our character, but also for our background. It was really important to work together, to understand, to find a way to help the European cinema. And this was really, really interesting. And about voting for other, it's for our colleague, and also I vote also for the movies, for yes. For the student award. This is a vote that I really love, because I think I really like to watch the movie from the student, because they are the new generation. And I think the connection between us and them, it's really, really important and interesting, I think. And I don't know, the way in which I vote is when I see a character, in the movie, and not the actor. This is the way for me. Of course, when the movie is beautiful, it's more easy, because of course our job, we are not a painter. We work alone in our studio. We work with the director. And when the movie is beautiful, and the light is beautiful, and all the department work very well together, it's more easy for all of us to work in the right way. And our work have more result in this way. Because if I made the beautiful costume, but with the worst light, it cannot work. This is really, that's why I tell before, it's really hard to vote, because it's a really big responsibility, because you need to try to see exactly the work of our colleague. And it's hard when in sometimes, but some other times it's more easy, of course.
And I was also wondering, because I think that usually costumes who are nominated for awards are usually period pieces and not often contemporary pieces. So I was wondering if it's something you pay attention to when you vote. Do you sometimes try to put some light on contemporary work, or not especially?
Yes, I was talking about that just 2 days ago with my colleague, because I think that we have to work like the Academy, Oscars Academy, because they have different awards for different categories. And I think this is right, because period costume are not the same like contemporary costume. And as you said, the awards goes more easy to the contemporary movie than the period movie than on contemporary one. That's why I think that also in the European awards, and also the Davide Donatello, the Italian one, we need to add a category for the
to separate both. And,
yes, I think could be better.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's the same in France. We have Les Césars, And usually, I think 5 films are nominated, and usually it's only 5 period movies. And this year I was quite excited because out of 5, there were 2 contemporary costumes. So that was once in a lifetime, but none of those got the award. It was a period film that got it anyway. But yes, I still think it's a bit sad that there's not much recognition about contemporary costume. It's a good idea to have a separate category.
Yes, could be an idea, I think.
Yes, it's true. But I think La Grande Bellezza is one of the recent films. It's very rare where everybody talked about the costumes and saw them and admired them.
Thank
So
you.
congratulations for that.
Thank you. But The Great Beauty, it's a contemporary movie, but in some way it's a period. I don't know how can I express, but the character, it's a without period.
Yes. Yes, it's true. Yes. And as you said, Gambardella is really also connected to his past and his Neapolitan roots. So it's really navigated between times. Oh, actually, I wanted to ask you questions about Il Divo that I forgot to ask. You mentioned the research part that was very important to create Giulio Andreotti's costumes. And I was wondering how much liberty also you allowed yourself to take from the archives you found.
But of course, the actors are not exactly the copy of the character. I made a really amazing research on the glasses, because in that period, all the political men, they wear glasses. And this element helps a lot, the transformation. And yes, I try to make them not exactly the same, but really similar, but also try to give them the atmosphere, the right atmosphere of the character. This was my idea, because of course we cannot have exactly the same. And also Paolo doesn't want this. It was, we don't need this in the movie. But the people must understand, when they watch the movie, they have to understand who they are. And that's why we prefer to give them the right atmosphere.
Yes. Okay. And I had a few more generic questions about costumes. I was wondering if there's some movie costume that you like most, that you love watching again, and that maybe still inspire you today.
Oh, a lot. As I told you, I loved all the movies, American ones from the 40s. And I also love the cinema from France. I love the rhythm that they have. I love movies like In the Mood for Love. For the way in which all the element, all the department, they work together. I love the way in which you can paint on the frame. And this is something I think to really make the difference. I think is something that I really like. A lot. I don't have one. I like more than one.
From the movies you watch as a little girl from the 30s, 40s Hollywood films, do you remember some films that you especially liked, for instance? Some actresses you loved, or?
I like also movies with Bette Davis, or All About Eve, or a lot of them, honestly.
I really love this one. And in your career, is there a specific costume you made and that you especially like watching again, or?
It's hard to say, because all the character which I worked are part of me. It's It's something where I put all my energy. That's why it's hard to say I love this more than another one. It's impossible.
I understand. And what do you like most about your job?
I like how you can represent the character, the movement of the soul, the state of mind. I'm really curious about people and what can be in the mind of the people. And this is something that I really love to repeat on movies. I also like the aesthetical part. I think, as I told you, the fitting moment is the moment that I really love. The difficult moment, but also the magical one.
Yes. And is there a specific type of project maybe you'd really like to work on, and why?
No, I don't have a specific one. Some years ago I thought, oh no, because I don't know, maybe I can never work on a sci-fi movies because it's not in my soul maybe. And then after a few months, they called me to work for work on the first season of Mars, and the TV series was based on the story was based on the first trip to Mars from the Earth, and that's why I was working on the sci-fi project.
So it happened quite quickly in the end.
It was okay. I used the same way because, of course, I made the research on everything. And what they need, and they clothes the astronauts and all the technical parts and all the details, because they also have a life support system in the overall. That's why I studied everything about them.
Yes, it's very technical clothes.
Yes, it is. That's why I always thought, but it's not for me. And then I worked on that a few months later. No, I think, I'm Italian. We are not in America. We don't have a big industry. We cannot be specialized on something. We used to work on different kind of project. And that's why we are prepared to work on the period one or contemporary ones, or because this is the way where we born in professional way. We used to work in this way. That's why, and also for me, a costume designer must study the story and must work on research, and then can represent everything. That's why, from my point of view, we can work on all kind of project.
Completely.
But thank you to inviting me, because as I told you, I follow you on Instagram, and I thought, oh, it's really interesting.
Well, thank you so much. I was very, very glad when I saw that you were following the account. It really means a lot. Thank you very much, Daniela.
Now, thanks to you to us to talk about our job, because I think it's really important.
You've been listening to Profession Costumière, a podcast dedicated to costume design and costume designers. If you liked this episode, feel free to give it 5 stars and to subscribe on your podcast app to discover other costume designers' interviews. You can also join the podcast on Instagram at Profession Costumière, where you will see images of the costumes we've mentioned. Thank you for your support.